And we'll both talk about this one because you really like this one. And this is one that, number 4, Frankenweenie. If you know Frankenweenie, you'll know that it is a Tim Burton production. Tim Burton made an original short. It was a live action short. Originally, I thought it was animated first, but I was getting confused with Vincent. And that was a short film that Tim Burton made, and it was in honor of Vincent Price. And it was about a boy who wanted to be like Vincent. So originally, I was thinking that it was a short animation, but it was actually a live short. And what's interesting is that Daniel Stern played the dad, and Barrett Oliver, the kid who was in The Never-Ending Story, played the protagonist, the boy who brings back his dog from the dead. So, and also the mom was Shelley Duvall. So there were stars in this, and I think it's about 29 minutes. You should also check that one out. But we're going to talk about the 2012 Frankenweenie, which is an animation. Very much like Coraline and also A Nightmare Before Christmas. If you like that type of stop motion, this is the type of film for you. Frankenweenie tells the story of Victor Frankenstein, a young boy who's devastated by the loss of his beloved dog, Sparky. So with a name like Frankenstein, what do you think he's going to do? You guessed it. He's going to try to bring back his friend Sparky. So this is where all the hilarity happens, because we know in a lot of horror films, when you try to bring somebody back from the dead, you're bringing back a zombie version of themselves, and it doesn't always work out the way you think it's going to work out. So we see a lot of that. Again, with Sparky's resurrection, it causes a lot of strife. It causes a lot of issues. And what I like about it is that there's deeper meaning, and I won't tell too much because I really want you to watch it, but there's the meaning of loss and of friendship and the consequences of playing God, because we learn, again, when you bring back something that you love, you might not necessarily get the version that you were hoping for, even if you still love that new version. So I think it was a great film. And was this the first time you saw Frankenweenie?
No, so I'd seen it in the past, but I think I had also seen the short, so I was confused. I was like, oh, I thought this was a short movie, and it's actually pretty long. It's an hour and a half. But I loved rewatching it because I'd forgotten a lot of things that happened in it. And for me, I mean, I'm a big dog person, so even like the idea of losing your dog, like that story already really has me. I love Mr. Whiskers. I have to give a shout out to him. I love that scene. And I think I read that Winona Ryder is in this movie. She does the voice of the girl next door, the neighbor.
Oh, I completely forgot about that. Yes, you're right. And I know Tim Burton, he likes to work with a lot of the same actors. So like Johnny Depp and Helena Bonham Carter. So that would make sense that because he worked with her on Beetlejuice.
And she really works in the horror genre very well. I mean, Stranger Things, I think, was kind of horror too. Like,
I would
I think
definitely,
she's great for that genre.
Absolutely. I would definitely put that in the horror realm, even if it's not like what somebody might consider a true horror film. There's definitely horror aspects. So yeah, I think that's great. And that's a cool one. I didn't know that. You want to do the next one? You can announce the next one, Nora. So what you're going to do is say The Adventures of Ichabod and Mr. Toad.
No, I want to do mine.
You want to do yours? Okay, well, yours is the number 1, so you can announce that one. But if Nora was going to announce this one, it would be The Adventures of Ikabod and Mr. Toad, 1949. Don't let the year fool you. A lot of times people see a movie, if it was made like pre-1950, that they're not interested in it. They think it's corny. This is the perfect Halloween movie. Now, it tells a story about 2 tales. One of them is Mr. Toad, which is based on The Wind and the Willow, that book. And that one really isn't as much of a horror tale, but it's a good segue into Ikabod. Now, we're filming in Westchester, and in this story, the legend of Sleepy Hollow is probably about 20-something minutes away, so it is the perfect one for this type of show, especially that we're filming in Westchester. And with this film, the short, Ikabod is a schoolmaster, school teacher, who comes into town and is, I would say in this one, he almost comes off like a gigolo in the cartoon, because he has all these women fawning over him. And then when you look at the animation of Ikabod, he's not attractive. I mean, he's very lanky. He's tall, which I know women like tall, but his features are very long. So he has a long nose and long hands and but all the women are swooning over him. He's an educated guy, and he has an appetite for somebody who's quite lanky. So he makes himself very popular among the women, but definitely not with the men. And he sees this one woman, Katrina von Tassel, who is beautiful and wealthy. So it's funny because depending on what movie you see with Ikabod, you would think that, oh, you know, he just loves her for her beauty. But in the cartoon, he's looking at her as someone who can also bankroll his appetite. And what's great about this is that he is somebody who seems like he has a lot of courage, but he's easily scared. So he goes to a Halloween party and he meets Brom Bones, who's this muscular, good-looking guy. And he also has eyes for Katrina. And he decides he's going to scare Ichabod. And I'll leave it at that because I pretty much told you most of the story. The ending is worth it. That's really the last 10 minutes is really where you're going to get that Halloween action. If you want to fast forward through Mr. Toad, I occasionally do that myself. Great Halloween film. Tatiana, is there anything that you would like to say about this?
I really liked that it was a musical. I was surprised by that. So that's another aspect of it that I think really makes it stand out from all the other movies on this list, is if you're looking for a Halloween-themed musical, and also the legend being relevant to Sleepy Hollow right here, I think it's a great movie to watch.
Absolutely. And you know, it's funny because I should have mentioned that the narrator is Bing Crosby. So if you know Bing Crosby, if you don't, look him up. He was a great American singer. So it would make sense. And he does sing the songs in this video. So check it out. Number 3, The Adventures of Ichabod and Mr. Toad. And we have number 2, Tatiana.
So number 2 is Hocus Pocus, which is a Disney classic. After moving to Salem, Massachusetts, teenager Max Dennison explores an abandoned house with his sister and their new friend Allison. And after dismissing a story Allison tells, Max accidentally frees a coven of evil witches who used to live in the house. So now, with the help of a magical cat, the kids must steal the witch's book of spells.
Get the spell book! Come on!
And they have to do this before the sun comes up.
My favorite part of the film is Binks. So Binks is the black cat who, I don't want to, I guess I'll say it. He was the young boy who the witches turned into a cat, and he's cursed, and he's been living for hundreds of years. But I just remember that Binks, when I saw that, he definitely stood out. I just liked him.
I love Binks, too.
Yeah, so anything, but I think the scene that I remember, if you're going to ask me about the scene, is when the Sanderson sisters are singing I Put a Spell on You.
Yes, I was thinking about that scene this morning.
And you also have Bette Midler. So you have singers in there, and I mean, she just, you know, brings down the house. So just for watching certain scenes, it's worth it. But whenever you think of Halloween, and it's funny because when it first came out in the movies, it wasn't a big hit. It became a big hit because it kept getting played on cable, especially during Halloween time. And I think there's the 31 Days of Halloween that's constantly played on the Disney Channel. And that was in heavy rotation. So it became a cult classic. And it became this phenomenon because if you go into like any Spirit Halloween, they only will have stuff for like the major horror films, and they always have a bunch of Hocus Pocus merchandise. So I would say that even if you're not a horror fan or even a Halloween fan, you're going to know Hocus Pocus.
Yeah.
So
actually, I was in PetSmart the other day, and I actually saw Hocus Pocus themed dog toys, squeaky toys. So it's definitely big.
If it's in PetSmart and places like that, you know it's definitely in the lexicon now. So I think that's why we put it high up on the list. And ironically, with our list, the top 2, we both, because what we'll do is that we'll choose our top 5 and then we combine it into the list. So sometimes you might see that we change the order, and then that's why, you know, one of us will go twice in a row. But for the first 2, we got them dead on. So that says a lot about Hocus Pocus. And our next and final film, which, as if you are watching the camera, you see that little Nora is definitely wants to get at that microphone. Again, she's my child, so why wouldn't she want to be in front of a microphone? And she will like to introduce our number 1 film on our top 10 Halloween movies. So Nora, why don't you come here?
Night Before Christmas.
A Nightmare Before Christmas. Now, who's in A Nightmare Before Christmas?
Jack and Sally.
Jack and Sally. And what does Jack look like?
He's a skeleton.
He's a skeleton. And is he the mayor of Halloween Town?
Yes.
And does he like Sally?
Yes.
But what does he really want? So he's a little bit sad because he's kind of getting bored with Halloween, right? So what does he do?
He kidnaps Santa.
Trick or treat!
He kidnaps Santa and takes over Christmas. Now, this is a great film in many reasons. One of them being is that it has that stop motion. I love that look. I love Coraline. I love Frankenweenie. I love any of those Paranorman. Any of those films that use that technique or have that look. I certainly love those. I don't know about you. But
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I love Tim Burton movies in general. I mean, they're usually pretty amazing.
And I remember seeing that in the movie theaters, and I was like, I never saw anything quite like it. And if you haven't seen the film and you love Halloween, you definitely have. This is like a must. Even if you don't like Halloween, you loathe it, you should still watch this film because it's great. It's also a musical. Danny Elfman did the music. Again, it's Jack. He wants something different in life. I think we could all identify with that. He chooses another season, but in the end, sometimes he realizes that the grass is greener on the other side. So please, if you haven't seen this one, and this one, again, if Hocus Pocus is in the lexicon, certainly A Nightmare Before Christmas is too. That is our number one. Guys, please like and subscribe. Please put your comments down below. Is there something that you wanted to see on this list that was a Disney Halloween film that we completely ignored? Is there something that actually is better than A Nightmare Before Christmas? I don't know what is.
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
But if there is, then tell us, because we would love to see it.
Please put those comments, even if you disagree. We love that, because that's what's great about talking about movies. There's always going to be a disagreement. Put any of your comments down below. Please like and subscribe. Smash the notification bell for new notifications. And thank you for coming down the rabbit hole with us, friends.